Alright, so I'm nomiinoveltii, and today we are watching the Owl House Season 1, Episode 2. I believe it is Witches Before Wizards. And so, just to give everyone a quick rundown on how things work around here, I've already seen this series before, so I am going to be talking, about like future episodes, spoilers, all that good stuff. So this is your forewarning about that. And then after we're done watching the episode, we are gonna, kind of make some fan art, We'll see what inspires us today. But without any further ado, let's get started.
It wasn't a dream! Good morning, terrifying fantasy world!
Good morning!
I would still think I was dreaming if I saw that first thing in the morning.
You little cutie pie. I am not your cutie pie! Yes, you are.
But I would treat him the exact same way.
I know. Hi, Luce! I'm just wishing you.
Okay, Hootie, don't greet people in the bathroom. That's where people are most vulnerable, and where people are least expecting to be greeted in the morning. I have a little bit of like decorum. So yeah, let's chill out, Hootie.
Kid, lay off the details. I haven't even had my cup of apple blood yet.
You mean apple juice?
No.
I want to know where to get a pint of apple blood. I think it could solve a lot of my problems.
Do you have a dangerous magical
What the hell? Oh, first off, okay, what the hell is King eating? It was like moving eyeballs. Hold on. It looks very upset.
Was I supposed to bring my own runes?
Oh,
Do you have a dangerous
just stabbing it.
magical for me?
Oh, and he's in a little high chair. I never noticed that before. That's so cute.
Days I sell only the finest homemade elixirs and potions.
So I do think it's interesting that despite the fact that Ida became a witch, like a wild witch, I should say, that she still ended up essentially staying within her coven, because whenever she was growing up, she was in the potions track, and so she just kind of continued that on through her adulthood. And so I think it's really interesting. Also, another thing that I wanted to point out is that Ida actually, this is kind of like a headcanon, but I would 100% just believe this. But so Ida's outfit is red, like the Bard Coven, and so I always like to think that she wears red because it reminds her of rain.
I won't let you down, Miss Ida.
I'm sure.
Remember, never befriend.
I can only assume that Ida had like a reversal spell. Kind of, I'm thinking kind of like in Psyche K, where he has the touch where he can revert things like back 24 hours.
You and
Wow, King just pulling out with the cool guy walk.
Hey, it's rude to stare.
I've only seen places like this in my dreams. It's incredible. And I'm the only human here?
Haven't seen any others.
Wow. There must be a reason for that, right? Why am I here? What if I, Luz Noceda, average teen, actually had a predetermined path of greatness? Just...
I think this storyline for this episode is actually just so important because, like, I feel like so many people are able to relate to the idea that, you were made for greatness, but you're not made for anything. You create yourself. You have to, like Ida says by the end, choose yourself and make the decisions that will push you forward. It's not some, grand idea of fate. It's your own determination, a la Undertale.
I know I've had enough delight for one day.
I thought being the only human in a magical world would make me special, but
Apparently, it just makes everyone want to scream at me or...
Okay. Luce, I love you, sweet, but, you are working a job, and you haven't even worked this job for 24 hours, and I get it, the jobs suck, but like, this is, you're still able to explore the demon realm, you're able to see all the sights, you're able to meet all the people. It's your fault for not truly experiencing the world, and I understand that that's kind of like the point, is that Luce is putting her expectations of this real world, like she's putting her expectations of fantasy onto reality, and it's not fair to the people who are actually living here in the Boiling Isles. And so like that's just like the entire like arc of these apparently I can't talk today, but that's the entire arc of this episode, is Luce finding an acceptance that, you know, she's not special. This could have been anyone running into the demon realm, but it's because she chose to stay, because she is choosing to experience this world, is what gives it's what makes meaning out of it, what gives her meaning. So we'll get back to it.
At this point, Azura had already been sent on an enchanted quest. Where's my quest-granting wizard?
Sorry to break it to you, Luz, but no one here is that well dressed.
This has been a rough day. Let's just deliver this last package and go home. Maybe this world isn't what I thought it was. Pretty.
I feel like it is always safe to fear opulence, because that always means that something stinky is going around. I don't trust opulence. And there are all those like celestial motifs that one of the comments from my last Owl House video did mention. So yeah, we get to see those in basically every episode. Love a good, you know, celestial motif. It also makes sense considering the wizard has like stars and shit. But yeah.
Okay, let's scram. Wizards are just old people with glitter in their pockets.
And you know what? Ida did say in the beginning of the episode not to trust people in casual drapery and in sandals, and this guy checks off both of those boxes.
When I decided to stay in this magical world, I thought I was meant for something special.
But Ida thinks
I'm meant for chores, and I'm afraid I came to the wrong place.
Girl, just give it a full week. Give it a week.
I have a question.
Oh.
Would you like to go on a quest?
Yes!
I might have just the thing. The prophecy speaks of a young human girl who will claim the celestial staff and free this world from an ancient evil.
I think okay, so hold on. We're gonna kind of zoom in on that map again. I think like this is something that you can really only notice whenever you are watching it, you know, a secondary time, or, you know, just after the first initial time that you've watched it. But if you go back and look at the like the landmarks and like what these towns are named, you can kind of tell that it's a fake map, because we know that all of the towns and locations in the Boiling Isles are named after the actual body parts of like the Titan, because we have Bonesboro, that's obviously just generally bones, but then what was, I mean, everyone's always referring to like these locations as like the actual body parts, and so like you can tell is what I'm trying to say.
Your wizard client told Luce she was
Was a chosen one!
It was always just a little harsh of Ida and King to have this type of reaction. I'll give King a bit more of a pass because he's like 8 years old, and I would expect nothing less of an 8-year-old kid. But Ida, I feel like she could have had a little bit more decorum whenever it came to this.
Don't worry. Couple more more months here and you won't look like such a mark.
Can I have some time alone?
And, like, granted, Ida does eventually come back. She, like, gives Luce space, which is what Luce needed, ultimately. But, you know, it gave, you know, Luce this moment to, you know, see the lies on the page.
Finally! All that mean-spirited laughter made me sleepy.
Crony.
I mean, at least the show is self-aware that what they did was fucking mean.
And I don't trust this itch he's scratching in a human.
Less talky, more nappy.
Hey, Luce?
Oh, nuts.
See, she did go back for Luce to be like, hey, I want to smooth things over. Just a little bit too late.
Solve my riddle within a week! Oh! Okay! She went to the forest towards Bonesborough!
You know, Ida, you're the one who has to fix that.
Okay, got my scroll, got my youthful optimism.
Got my trusty weapon.
Oh, she really does have youthful optimism right now. Oh, how that does transform by the end.
You know,
I see. So you're the chosen one. The Celestial Staff should have picked me.
I really like how this
Strife.
entire fantasy is pulled straight out of, like, a 12-year-old's fanfic.
What is my name?
Chris?
That's it! You may cross the bridge, and please take this chosen
You know,
one
if
to help you.
a quest is this easy, and you're just breezing past,
Do you need a cape?
wouldn't that raise some red flags? Like, if one of the challenges that you have to get through is what's my name and you're wearing a name tag, I'd be like, okay, things are going on here. Let's
Distinct smell. Like lemons and young, naive confidence.
Hey, wake up, you. What have you done with Luce? What's your end game?
To find your pupil and still your wrath. Look ahead and follow the path.
So I'm not entirely sure.
The fat man melted!
It's a trap.
Oh, hold on. Pause. Yeah? Do you need to go outside? Go potty? Okay. Sorry, I had to take my dog out. He takes priority over recording, unfortunately, so. And I also made myself some coffee. We're gonna ignore the fact that it's, like, 6 o'clock right now.
Oh, your food was so tiny and cute. Who are you, chosen one?
Thank you. You have all been so kind and thoughtful.
You know, with all the shit that I did, you know, spout about, you know, all the red flags, I will say if a fairy did give me a cool bracelet,
Go on, chosen one.
I would be a little bit compelled to put it on. It's pretty.
Chosen one?
But I also know the traps of the Fae, so I also know not to do that. It'd be tempting. I always thought that the gem on top looks like a plumb bob from The Sims.
Yeah, and we're flying directly into his trap. Hooray!
But if you can think of a better plan, I'd love to hear it.
You know, I do think King is kind of like, you know, stop hitting Owlbert. First of all, stop doing that. It's rude. But I think King is on the right track. We met Luce yesterday. It's okay if she dies a little bit. It probably won't kill her or anything.
Your mentor has been stealing customers from
Where is he spawning the other tentacles from? Because you don't see any leading out from his main body into the smoke to come back in with them.
That's right. You have me. Now release Luce.
I didn't have to be a part of this. Oh,
It's true, this is child endangerment! Ida, don't you care about your child? Your son?
It is beautiful here.
Luce!
You guys think I'm special.
No!
You know, I mean, it's only been a day since, maybe 2, technically, at this point. a day or two since Luce was supposed to be sent off for summer camp. And after her mom essentially said, you need to lose your what makes you special so that you can fit into society. And so coming from that perspective into this episode, it's just also, it's so heartbreaking because, you know, all Luce wants is to have acceptance, to be understood. Cough cough, reference to season 3. But like, all that's all she wants, and it takes a lot of willpower to be able to see exactly what you want in front of you and know that it's fake and reject it. Like, sometimes even knowing that it's fake, it's tough to reject it, because it's everything that you want. And so I like to remember where she's coming from at this point and how easily she could have just succumbed into this wizard's trap. But, you know, she is starting to learn to take and trust Ida's word more and more. And so she's like, I need to put trust into the person that I chose to be my mentor. And so I just think that's very sweet.
The dog gets it!
I am not a...
King, I'm sorry.
And I love that also. Just like every time King is referred to as like some type of creature, like a dog, cat, a bird, it's just like, it reinforces the idea that King is also a one-of-a-kind creature and like is incredibly rare to the point where no one is able to identify him on the Isles.
Whoa. The bones of the Isles. Up close, the Isles can be...
Also, before we get into Ida's little speech, I wanna point out I have bone earrings and a bone necklace because I knew we were going to be seeing the bones of the Isles today, so I just kind of wanted to be a bit more in theme. So just a little fun thing that I did.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Ida, how did you know that wizard was lying?
Yeah, King, you're looking at your daddy.
And that's why you need to choose yourself.
Does that mean you'll give me a magic staff of my own?
Not yet, but someday.
What Luce really just needed to learn is patience going through this. You know, kind of with how she grew up in the human realm, grew up with the idea of instant gratification right at her fingertips. So it doesn't surprise me, and she's also a child. So it doesn't surprise me that she wanted this thing much more instantly, especially with you know, her idolizing, you know, Azora and that entire like storyline, you know, becoming the chosen person. Yeah. Anyways, now that the episode is over, I am going to go ahead and shift over to drawing. All right. And here I am, shifted over to drawing, and we're actually just going to be watching like kind of like a played back, sped up version of, you know, my drawing, because as it goes, I am kind of bad at multitasking. And so, you know, I do the drawing off camera, and then I'll come back here to talk over it, so I have more structured thoughts and you don't see me hunched over and shrimped up at my desk trying and failing to form a coherent thought. So, you know what? Always a little bit nice to have coherent thoughts in your brain. I know that's a trait that's lacking. No shade to anyone though. What a strong way to start out my drawing portion. Anyways, let's look at this. So yeah, I'm just doodling. The part that I was kind of wanting to reference in this piece is the big puppeteer monster guy. So he is like basically our backdrop and everything. You kind of see like all the tendrils and his tentacles shooting out from him. And then I have Luce and all of the puppeteer people up front in the mid-ground, but I do ultimately end up changing the pose a little bit later because, I don't know, I just don't like seeing Luce all sad and shit. I think that I would rather see her, like, especially since this is more in the style of like an episode poster or something like that, I want her to be a bit more confident in things. I want her, like, the energy she is exuding in this situation to be confidence, or not even necessarily confidence, just not crouched down on the ground like that. It's also a little bit hard to read, like, visually. Like, it's the pose that I end up choosing later on ends up being just a better silhouette for everything. So, and now I think we're actually going to get rid of the poses and we're going to start doing more of the rendering for the monster guy. And let me tell you, he's an ugly son of a bitch, just like a little fucking ball sack. Honestly, I was a little uncomfortable with him, drawing him, but I do end up saving it in just a second. Whenever I draw his teeth, I end up just doing 2 single teeth on each of his gums for a little bit, just because I thought it was silly. And I am getting to where I put the teeth in, which with the teeth, I think he's looking absolutely, kind of charming, kind of cute. But everything else, not so much. And then his beady little eyes, staring into your soul, wanting to, I don't know, eat you and then steal your mentor's business. That sounds like a pretty good plan. But anyways, kind of actually talking about the episode, I do really like this one. I really like the theme of the overall episode. It kind of, Ida said it herself, you need to choose yourself. And that's kind of saying, what makes us great is the time and the effort that you put into yourself, and it's not others dictating it for you. Like, fate is an active choice. It doesn't just happen to you. You actively make decisions that propel you forward. And I think the way that the show decides to go about it, I really do enjoy it. I also really like how the series does a full circle moment with the Titan as well, because this is the episode where we actually get to meet the Titan. And so we get the speech of, you need to choose yourself, with the Titan. And so whenever we come back to meeting the Titan in the series finale, it's a full circle moment whenever he says you need to choose yourself, because he was there for, both moments, just in different ways. And I just think it's a very subtle, full circle moment. I keep saying that. Blah, 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 blah. Word vomit. But yeah, that's the gist of what I have to say without repeating myself too much. Oh, finally put in the other teeth. Oh, so sad. I liked him better with just 2 teeth, personally. I also really liked how the episode, kind of tackles a couple of different issues. One of them being, the dangers of allowing fantasy to override reality, because whenever, we have this bright and starry-eyed Luce, starting off her witch journey, and it starts off with her mentor being, you know, pretty dismissive and, you know, starting her day with what I assume was hard apple blood. So, I mean, that's great. And she also, like, kind of totally embarrasses herself. Not totally, but she does embarrass herself a little bit whenever Ida says, you know, you're wearing a dirty traffic cone and a dirty bathrobe, you know, and so she's already, like, she started the day being, like, very eager, and with every step of the way, you know, it kind of, like, lowers her, I don't want to necessarily say confidence, but, you know, just her eagerness, essentially, because then whenever she's actually sent into town, she realizes not only does the job low-key suck because it's door-to-door delivery, but it's also, you know, her realizing that the world that she, you know, made so many assumptions about is completely different than what she had ever imagined, and it just wasn't holding up to what her books, you know, kept saying that a world like this is supposed to be. But of course, reality never truly reflects, you know, the fantasy that you read in the books. So I think that's also just like a really important lesson to, yes, you're allowed to have your fantasies, but you also have to ground them in reality to an extent. Another thing that I think is interesting about the show, and I'm not sure if I've ever really heard anyone talk about it, but it does talk about the dangers of creepy old men taking advantage of young, vulnerable girls. And fuck off to the wizard guy. I know all the puppets were the same guy. Fuck that puppet. Glad he got eaten. Don't fuck that puppet. I'm derailed. I got derailed. I'm so sorry. But anyways, yeah, it does talk about that. Like, rewatching the episode, I was like, hold on. There are a couple red flags going on here. Because, like, again, going back to the dangers of allowing fantasy to override reality, that also put Luce in a very dangerous situation, because it allowed this man to see that she felt things were lacking, that she was in a bad mental space, and that she was vulnerable, and he capitalized on those vulnerabilities to get to Ida, and I'm just like, oh my god. And like, I feel so obvious looking at it in retrospect, but it is what it is. No, it's not. It is what it is. Be vigilant of your surroundings, and don't trust creepy old men. That is the point of what I'm trying to say. It's never, that is what it is. That's not how it should be. People should not take advantage of young people, especially young girls. I'm spiraling. I'm spiraling. Anyways, this guy's tentacles. There's no good segue to looking back over here. I'm actually gonna leave you guys be for a little bit, and I think I kind of touched on all I wanted to about the actual episode, but if there's something about the actual drawing process that I want to talk about, I'll go ahead and pop on in, okay? Okay. Alright, I'm gonna be popping back in. So this is kind of where I scrapped the original poses for Luce and the puppets, but, you know, you can kind of see what I meant, where, you know, everything is a lot clearer in silhouette. You know, not just with Luce, but also the actual, like, puppet people, with them looming over. It's not as crowded in the center, it's a bit more evenly spread out. And I do end up bringing them down a little bit more after I resize things, but you know, this is kind of the general gist of things. And with Loose, it is a much more confident and clear pose, which is definitely to its, like, it's definitely a good thing, because everything else was so busy with, like, after I had rendered in the big bad monster, I think having everything crowded in the way I originally had it would have made everything just a little bit too messy, and hard to read. So this, I'm happy with how it looks, obviously, because it's the one I went with. And then, that's essentially what it looks like. I end up switching, I believe, one of the characters to the other side, so it's 2 and 2, and then Loose, and then Monster in the center. So, anyways, I'm gonna back to the speed draw. Alright, so I think this is the point where I have to apologize a little bit for making the teen prince of Angstmore look like a 40-year-old decrepit dying man in this. I thought it was, like, fitting, but, like, I made him look a lot greasier and, like, worse than I had anticipated. Definitely a lot older than 16. Canon to the show, but I mean, I guess not canon to the show. He looks old. But yeah, you'll see in a second, whenever I render his face, I end up having to go back and redo it, because where his head now is not the right place at all. I end up just completely, totally scrapping that, so that's fun. Alright, I think this is the point where I have to apologize for this guy's face so much for the teen prince of Angstmore, more like, I don't know, the 40-year-old guy at CVS. I don't know, I made him look so old, and totally not 16. And it's not like the guy in the show looks 16-year-old either, but like the guy that I drew, definitely in his 40s or 50s or something like that. Look at that receding, the freaking widow's peak I gave him, and the greasiest hair I could manage. So yeah, if you actually liked this character, sorry, I don't think I did him justice, that's for sure. And right now he's kind of bobbleheading on his body. I do end up resizing his head a little bit, so it's a bit more proportional. But yeah, I'm sorry. He looks so, I don't know, dead, low-key. I mean, that's the point. That was the point. But like, but anyways, we are kind of finishing up with the drawing. We're doing the last, the title up top, Witches Before Wizards, and you know, final touches. I think it's looking good. I'll be posting it a little bit after this video drops, so keep a lookout for that. And gotta add the watermark with my name, nomiinoveltii, if you forgot. But yeah, I think it's looking pretty spiff, pretty span, and I just absolutely adore this episode in particular. It's one that is a personal favorite, just because, not necessarily like the meat of the episode, that is like, it's whatever, but the final speech from Ida about you need to choose yourself, I think that part really drove it home for me. And you know, I think it sets the series up what to expect in a really nice way. Like, the overall theme of the series is needing to choose yourself, and you know, that's about all I have to say. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. I'm sure you've already heard me repeat so many things. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next video.